This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'll call the Board of Water Wastewater Commissioners meeting agenda for Thursday, April 8th, 2021 at 1 o'clock to order. As of right now, for the consent agenda, the minutes will be put together for our next meeting. So we'll move over to abatements. 25 Old Carriage Drive. And it looks like they're looking just for a $25 refund for a late fee. So I guess they mailed in their payment but didn't sign a document. Is that accurate? Is Wellesley there?
Hi everyone.
Hey, Wellesley.
Yes, hi Gary. Yes, so this resident signed up for a payment plan, and as part of the payment plan process, we ask for acknowledgement of the terms of the plan, and we provide two sheets, one that the customer retains and then one that is sent back to the department for our records for compliance for the plan terms. The agreement was never returned to us, so his account went into the late file. When people return plans and enter into agreements, they're automatically removed from the late fee file. But because that one was never received, it was just automatically put through the file, and that's why he received the late fee. The payment plan has since been paid in full, so it's in good standing.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, any thought?
No.
What's that?
I move we approve the elimination of the $25 fee.
I'll second that.
All right, there's a motion, we have a second, and I'll take a vote by roll call. Alan?
Aye?
Judith?
Aye.
And it's an aye for myself, thank you. The next one we have is 53 Neal Road. So this looks like they're looking for a $1,000 abatement. According to the write-up, they had a water leak in an 8x15 basement, about 6 inches deep, about 266,000 gallons. I got two amounts here. The total water bill was $1,455.34, or is it actually $1,772.74? Do you know which one it is?
It is the former, the 1455.34.
All right, and they're looking for a $1,000 abatement. So they went through 266,000 gallons of water. So in a 15x8 basement, 6 inches deep, how much water can that thing hold? I can't imagine it's just a swimming pool.
Imagine how much it's out.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I move we deny it.
All right, there's a motion. Is there any
I will-
discussion on that? Does anybody have any ideas about? I'm sorry, Drew. Hang on a second. Is there anybody have any ideas about the 266,000 gallons? Where do they have an irrigation system or anything?
I'm not aware if there's an irrigation system on the property. I'm not sure if Wellesley has any info on that.
Hi, it's Wellesley. We don't have a record of that property having an irrigation system. It doesn't mean that there isn't. However, looking at the notes, there was an indication that the irrigation is actually on a well. And I believe
Okay.
he may have mentioned that in his abatement.
Oh, and in the notes on 519, it references an irrigation tech. If I'm looking at the correct 53 Neal Street, yeah.
Right. So I think the reason we got a call from their technician was due to a raised gate box that they wanted us to lower. I don't think it had anything to do with like water usage or anything like that. I think it was just a separate situation.
That's that's an excessive amount of water from what they've used in the past. I mean, it's not, nothing's even close to that. I mean, they might want to look for a leak somewhere else besides the basement, because that's.
And the only thing that I can think that, you know, if this did all go into the basement, is if it was a slow enough leak that the water would, you know, pass through the concrete if they were out of the property for an extended period of time. I mean, that's still
Right.
a lot of water for even what I'm talking about, but.
Right. Well, it seems like they have something else going on there besides that. It might be something they should look into. All right, so we have a motion to deny. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll take a vote by roll call. Alan?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
That's an aye for myself. All right, moving on to FY21 third quarter water department usage. Looks like we have an abatement for the Harwich Water Department for $2,008.55.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll take a vote by roll call. Alan?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
That's an aye for myself. Thank you. Next, we have the FY21 third quarter internal adjustments. Looks like a total of $1,386.79.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve.
Is there a second?
There's a second.
I'll take a vote by roll call. Alan?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
And it's an aye for myself. Thank you. All right, next we have water rules and regulations.
So in the packet today is an updated version of the rules and regulations. There's new additions for language with regard to the irrigation sewer deduct policy and all the other proposed amendments that have been discussed by the board. I don't know, Sandy, if you want to touch on anything else with respect to the rules and regulations?
I provided a little summary, just that I was asked to incorporate all the changes into the document for ease of reading through all of it, because the board has agreed on all of the changes that we've included in this document, so it reads better. And like Dan said, the irrigation sewer deduct meter section is in here. And that is page 12, section 4, item 4.13. So that's there for your review. And then it's also referenced on page 21, section 9, irrigation systems, item 9.3. And lastly was the schedule, the Appendix A schedule of rates and fees. As you know, I've put the proposed rates in there for water and sewer, but we still internally plan to review all the other fees and bring proposals to the board at a future meeting.
So I guess if I can add to that and just touch upon the newest addition that really hasn't been yet discussed by the board, which is the irrigation / sewer deduct meter component. So as the board previously voted to allow customers connected to the sewer system to deduct outdoor usage not contributing to the wastewater collection system. So the policy language within the rules and regs is really in acceptance of that, that policy But also, I guess if we can, if it's okay with the board to kind of piggyback this discussion with the next topic, as they're both relative to the irrigation sewer deduct meter, it may make things a little easier for discussion purposes.
Sure.
So with most of the other things that the department does, for example, the service type protection plan or the seasonal turn-on, turn-offs service, we have reference to it in our rules and regulations, and then a supplemental policy document. It provides a lot more detail into how the program functions, what the requirements are, and things of that nature. So really the regulation is there to identify the irrigation sewer deduct meter and refer applicants or people seeking to install one to the policy. So if you bear with me, I'm just going to share my screen, and I'd like to go through the policy here. I did also just send it out before the meeting, so you should all have it in your inbox as well. Our internet's going a little slow. All right. Everyone see the screen now?
Yep.
Yep.
Great. So I think if it's okay with the board, I might just read through it, because I think the way that it's written explains a lot of about the policy and the way that the question, questions that customers may have. So starting with the Harwich Water Department's allowing properties connected to the municipal sewer system to install a second meter dedicated to monitoring outdoor water use. Properties electing to participate in this program will have 2 meters. 1 meter will register all water entering the property, and the second meter capturing only outdoor usage not contributing flow to the municipal sewer system. Outdoor usage captured by the second meter will not be subject to sewer usage fees. So we get into who will be eligible for an irrigation sewer deduct meter. So those meters will be available to properties connected to the municipal sewer system. And this is really to emphasize that this is not an attempt at changing how we handle irrigations on the water end, and really isn't for the broad public at large, but specifically for people connected to the sewer system, so that they aren't billed for water use that doesn't go into the sewer system. So then for people who are interested, how do we get an irrigation sewer deduct meter? So property owners will be required to contact a licensed plumber to reconfigure the plumbing in their home to support 2 meters. I do have an attached drawing that we can view at the end, just identifying the layout of that assembly. Once the plumbing's been reconfigured, the applicant will complete and return, or they will complete and return an application to the department, at which point we'll review, approve, and schedule an appointment to install the meter and inspect for cross connections, which is a big component in this. So anything that is fed from the irrigation sewer deduct meter can have no connection to the domestic plumbing within the household. So that's one inspection that our staff will be doing when we go to set the meter. So what are the costs associated with installing the sewer deduct meter? The homeowner is going to have costs associated with the plumbing, as well as an application fee for the water department, which will cover the account setup, labor, cross-connection inspection, as well as equipment and material costs, which are going to cover the meter itself, valves, fitting, and backflow device. And then as far as ongoing costs, for ongoing costs, property owners will be required to, as required by DEP, to have their irrigation backflow device tested on an annual basis. In order to be eligible to receive the deduction, the sewer deduction for outside irrigation use, property owners will have to submit a passing backflow test report to the department no later than June 1st on an annual basis. Properties who do not supply the department with a passing backflow test result will be removed from, or their account will be inactive and they will no longer receive the sewer irrigation deduction until such time that their account is brought current. One item that I wanted to bring up for the board's discussion would be the concept of a quarterly meter fee for accounts that do have an irrigation sewer deduct meter. So like we have with our water services or a fire service or the base service fee for new sewer customers, this would be an additional fee. I would propose that the fee be paid to the sewer department so that the sewer enterprise could establish another revenue stream outside of just sewer use fees. And this would be for the ongoing meter reading and things that we have to do on an annual basis. Now, I put a $25 placeholder in there for discussion purposes. I thought on the $25 was it being 50% of what we charge for the water meter. And that's really because the sewer irrigation deduct meter really is only applicable for about half the year during lawn watering season. I don't know if we want to stop here for questions or if I should keep going.
Alan, Judith, any questions yet?
No,
No.
no, for now anyway.
All right.
All right, good, Dan. Good, Dan.
Another question I think we'll see is, people will be asking, will my water bill change if I install an irrigation sewer deduct meter? My thoughts at this point is that we will not amend the way that we do our billing operations, so water bills would stay as they have in the past. And then we get into who would benefit from installing an irrigation sewer deduct meter. And this is really the longest section of the policy here, because it's really what people are going to have to decide on their own. Does it make sense for me to do this or not? So I'm anticipating the total cost for installing one of these meters, including plumbing, is going to be between $750 to $1,000 after they're all paid up. So because of that buy-in cost, it may not make economic sense for everyone who has an irrigation system to install one. For year-round residents, an easier way to tell would be comparing their winter to their summer usage. If they have a large variation between their winter and summer water bills, it may be something they want to consider looking at. For seasonal properties, it's a little bit more difficult because there isn't regular water use during the winter months to compare summer usage against. So for seasonal properties, I've included a couple, and really for everyone, a couple examples of the cost to recuperate your investment. So in example one, hypotheticals here, and assuming an irrigation system uses 500 gallons per day, running 3 days a week for 14 weeks, which would be June through August, that would use approximately 21,000 gallons of water, which would equate to approximately an additional, well, if I can preface, we don't have established sewer rates yet, so I put a placeholder rate in at $3.95. It was really just to represent in this example for the purpose of this meeting what the document would look like. So all disclaimers aside, in this example, it would take approximately 12 years for someone using this amount of water in their irrigation system to recoup their initial investment for an irrigation meter. So in that first example, that person may not choose to do so. For the second example, we said an irrigation system uses 2,000 gallons per day, running 4 days a week for 16 weeks. They have a more aggressive watering plan. In that instance, the watering or irrigation would result in an additional $500 on their sewer bill. So in this instance, the cost of that sewer deduct meter would be paid back in less than 2 years. So you can see the difference between consumption, and this is ultimately for each individual property owner to determine for their unique situation. Moving on. Another question I foresaw us being asked is what can be connected to the irrigation or sewer deduct meter supply line. So outdoor fixtures not contributing water to the municipal sewer system may be connected to the irrigation sewer deduct supply line. This includes irrigation systems, outdoor spigots, and outdoor showers not draining to the sewer system. All devices and fixtures connected to the irrigation meter must be completely isolated from the domestic water supply line, and a cross-connection inspection will be performed by the department prior to setting the irrigation meter. And then the last statement of all cross-connections must be eliminated before the meter is installed. So if we do go out and find that there's a cross-connection that hasn't been removed, we will not set the meter in that instance. And then lastly is a sketch of the meter assembly. So coming in on the left side of the screen would be the water service coming from the street. The first meter that you see is the traditional meter that everyone has in their home. And you can see in the middle of the screen the T, which feeds the new meter, dual check valve, and ultimately the outdoor water supply line. So we'd be looking for property owners to prepare an assembly like this with their plumber prior to contacting with the department so that this work is all done. So I guess with that, I would turn it back for questions.
So Dan, you bring up a good point as far as outdoor water spigots and outdoor shower. How would they hook that up?
So that would be done at the same time by their plumber. So depending on, they'll have to break those connections that they have that are fed as they, currently off the domestic line, and they'll essentially have to run a separate dedicated line to feed all of those outdoor fixtures. Now this is something that people may want to do. In reality, if your primary source of outdoor water use is an irrigation system, you really aren't going to get a substantial cost savings from adding the hose bibs in the outdoor shower because of the volume of that water. However, if someone did want to capture every drop of water that went outdoors for reduction off their bill, they could do that if they so choose.
Okay.
Or if they had, maybe someone has a hose bib that feeds a drip line, not a traditional irrigation system or something like that, that would be teed off the supply line from the meter.
All right.
I ask a question.
Yes.
Yeah. And maybe you already said this, Dan, and I apologize if you did. But so if a household is not in the process of getting hooked up to the sewer, but they do have an irrigation system, is this something that they would be installing as well? Or is it just I just want to make that clear, that's all.
Yeah, just people who are connecting to the sewer system. Because the only purpose that we're using the meter for is to deduct outdoor consumption from their sewer bill, so they're not paying, to treat sewage and effluent that ultimately went on the lawn. So if you weren't connected to the sewer system, there'd be no real benefit to the homeowner for installing this. They could, if they made the $1,000 investment, they would never recoup the investment.
Okay. Thank you.
Question.
Good, Alan.
Yeah. The quarterly meter fee, which will be $25 per quarter. So that would be $100 a year?
Correct. And again, that was a placeholder, and really these are decisions that need to be made by the board. At this point, we're still waiting on a handful of information to finalize what our sewer operational costs are going to be, which will inform sewer rates. So if the board wanted to do $50 or whatever their pleasure, that could be amended.
Well, I was just thinking about the whole project. I mean, the fact that you have to buy this meter, you have to hire a plumber to reconnect it, you have to pay the water bill just the same, and then you have to pay $100 fee into the sewer fund, in which I already paying for sewer treatment and electric connecting to the sewer system. So, I just get concerned about, just how high is the bill going to go to accomplish what we're trying to do here,
Yeah, so
Uh,
if we look, if I can,
Before I make a decision, I really like to see the full picture, as we go forward.
yeah, and one thing, if we can jump back to the second example that we discussed, the 2,000 gallons a day, 4 days a week. So in that instance, that property owner's sewer bill would be all the indoor consumption plus the $505 that was irrigated on the lawn.
I got you.
Now, if they pay the $1,000 and sign up, get the meter installed, that same bill they would save $505 on, they would only be paying a $25 meter fee in that instance. So there would be a net savings of $470 in this instance by having the deduct meter.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's almost pay to play. This is a benefit. This is an ultimate cost savings for what would be considered a luxury, irrigating and lawn watering. So, and this is, to save. And keep in mind too, I think it's important to note that there's a large number of sewer systems that do not allow or accommodate for irrigation or outside usage deductions when generating sewer bills.
Okay.
So in those instances, if we were to operate in that capacity and did not allow deduction of outdoor water usage, those people who do irrigate would be paying a larger burden of the cost to treat the wastewater. Now, by only billing them for what they are contributing to the sewer system, that overpayment that would have been realized is now going to get shifted to everyone else, if you follow where I'm going. So where someone would have historically overpaid, it would have lowered their neighbor's bill if they weren't irrigating, because they would have taken some of the burden for paying for water that wasn't really being treated. So just something to consider too.
Dan, what's the charge for the regular water meter fee?
I believe the proposed rate is $50 for the July 1st. Am I mistaken?
Okay. Any other questions for Dan at this point?
No.
No. I'm gonna jump. I have to leave now, but I will circle back with you, Dan, if there's anything.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Judith.
My apologies. Right now, base rate $45. Proposed base rate effective July 1st, $50.
Got it.
Yep, I got it. Okay. All right. Anything else?
I just have a question.
Sandy? Yep.
Were we just talking about water rates or sewer rates? Because if you'll see on this schedule, I have water and sewer, and both of these are the proposed rates, Dan.
My apologies.
So currently our base rate for water is $35 a quarter. So it will be going up to $10 to $45 a quarter. And then the base rate for sewer on the right-hand side is $50.
Right. Okay. All right. Anything else?
I think I'm good. Understanding that the rules and regulations are referencing this policy document, which will continue to be refined as we put together the sewer rates. Items in that document that were in red will turn black and become definitive. So I guess with that, I'm good.
Great. Alan, anything else?
No, I'm good. No.
Okay. All right.
I had earlier, I had offered up some changes, just minor things in the rules. Nothing big, nothing earth-shattering, just a word or a note. So they'll get groomed up and we should be fine there.
All right. Yeah, you guys did a really good job with these with this
Yeah.
leg. I mean, it's been a lot of information to go
Yep.
through and a lot of language to put together, and I think so it's a work in progress, but I think it's a solid start to move forward. So thank you for your efforts on that.
Ditto.
All right. New business, FY21 third quarter water budget report and commitment.
So we just finished the third quarter billing, and that will follow the third quarter water budget report, which pretty much everything is falling in line with right where we should be. The first grouping is salary and wages. We've expended 68% of our budget. 3/4 of the way through would be 75%. We had some vacancies and some gap in paying wages, so I think that's why we've only spent 68% at this point. Moving down to the next grouping is all of the expenses. And our expenses are not only the available budget, but the encumbrances for POs. So our, including the POs that we haven't fully expended, we've spent just under 76% of our expense budget. And then moving down to revenues, we have collected 88% of what we budgeted or projected to be collected. And it's interesting to see with the revenues that in order to meet our projection, we still need to collect 590,000. And if we move, segueing onto the next piece is the Q3 commitment, which we just billed, and that total commitment is 558,000. So it's interesting that pretty much everything just falls in line, or has fallen in line with how we budget and how we've projected our revenues. So we anticipate collecting this third quarter billing, which will bring us up to where we plan to be with our revenue projections.
That's
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third quarter commitment, I highlighted just a few things, that we billed 193 million gallons at 507,390. The water usage, in addition to the water usage billed, are all the other recurring charges, which bring the total commitment up to 558,646. Then moving forward to the next document is the projection versus actual for Q3. And this, the top part is the projection, which you can see 74,986,000 gallons, $523,913 for revenue. And then our actuals, you'll see 71,193 million for the actual billable consumption, and the revenue for that usage is 507,390. Giving us, it's not what we projected, but at the same time, with COVID, you can see where the difference is. It's really interesting because the projections, were based on the past few years, and now we have this COVID year, and it's interesting to see where what would be in tier 1, we projected 44 million gallons, and that's sort of split more into tier 1 and 2. So you can see that more people are staying here year round.
That's really, yeah, that's really, really cool to see that comparison, because I think that it speaks to, you know, exactly kind of what we were thinking happened. You know,
it definitely looks like now we're in like a year-round versus seasonal quarter. So normally this quarter that we just filled is seasonal, and I think that the way the usage is distributed, it indicates that there's a lot of people that have been here using their properties. But anyway, so that sums up the comparison, and quarter 3 water budget update and commitment update.
It's a lot of good information. Yeah.
And then the next item on the agenda is FY21 quarter 3 wastewater budget. And it's a budget summary and keeping in line with just providing the wastewater budget as well as the water budget. There's not a lot of activity, and you know, one item to point out is, you know, the revenue stream. Right now, and it's the bottom section, the only revenue stream is from investment revenue. So as Dan mentioned, it's with the $25 meter fee, it will be you know, nice moving forward to have some sort of revenue stream that can build up the wastewater to offset at least some of the expenses. Dan, I don't know if you have anything to add to wastewater budget, but this is the third budget report for wastewater.
yeah, I don't know if it was on the last one. If I'm not mistaken, that 51,000 encumbrance is reflecting the sewer CAG agreement in the professional services line, because that agreement was signed. So I think that must have got moved over. The PO was created, rather.
Yes, you're correct. It does look like it. It didn't get tied to our fund. I'll have to look at that. Well, that would be on the water side as well as wastewater. Is the general fund funding the rest of the sewer CAD?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. But you're right. We should see in this, you know, the encumbrance column, that PO, and it is not showing here. So I'll have to look into that.
Oh,
So that's 51,000 that should be on against wastewater.
Actually, it's an article.
It's there. It's the $51,008.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. So, yeah, it's there. All right.
Oh, okay. I
It's
missed
there.
that.
It's all right.
That's good.
Oh, yes, I see it. I'm sorry. Professional services. I gotcha.
We'll give you that one.
Thanks, Dan. And that's all I have for this meeting.
Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome.
Anything else to add, Dan?
Not with regard to the budgets.
All right. Shall we move on to, where are we? The waterworks bid?
Waterworks bid. All right. So if you bear with me, I'm going to share my screen again. So I distributed just before the meeting a recommendation to award package. I will share it on my screen here in just a moment. So the board may recall at the last meeting, I put forward a request to transfer approximately $65,000 split between two line items pipes, valves, and fittings, and meter read devices into the line item for water main replacement. That was for the purpose of funding the waterworks material for the Pleasant Lake tank project. So we had the bid opening today at noon. We received one bid from Ferguson Waterworks. The bid total was $99,350.71. Now, as written in the bid form, the town has the right to eliminate or reduce in quantity to keep within the limits of our available funding. So after reviewing the bid pricing in the bid sheet, I identified a couple of items that we have existing bid prices for under our annual waterworks contract that we can acquire for cheaper than were proposed in today's bid. So in an effort to get costs down and then also below the funding level at the line item proposed to be used, we cut out 3 16-inch butterfly valves and 1 Mueller hydrant. So those exclusions bring the total bid price down to $82,706.30. The gate valves that are being removed will still be needed. However, the gate valve, the valves through our contract, existing contract, will cost approximately $6,500 as opposed to the $14,000 in the bid today. And the other item that was removed was a hydrant, which in lieu of purchasing another, we can use from our old stock. So what I would request or put forward to the board today is a request to award the contract to Ferguson Waterworks in the amount of the $82,706.30. Happy to take any questions.
Mr. Chairman,
Alan?
I
Yep.
move we award the bid to Ferguson Waterworks in the amount of $82,706.30.
All right, before I second, Dan, my only question is, the 1 Mueller hydrant and the 3 butterfly valves,
Yep.
that's something that we have in stock that we can use on this?
So we do our annual waterworks bid that's recurring. Oftentimes we do it with the option to renew for 2 additional years. So the last time that we formally advertised the waterworks bid was 3 years ago. So this is the last contract extension that we have. So the 3 valves that were advertised in this bid, we also have pricing for in our existing waterworks bid. And the existing waterworks bid pricing is better than the pricing that we received today.
Okay.
So we're able to purchase through that contract price by excluding them from this contract.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion to approve. I will second that motion. We'll take a vote by roll call. Alan?
Aye.
It's an aye for myself. Dan, when do you need someone to come in here and sign this?
Yeah, so as with this project, I think everyone's aware we're under the gun to get it done before peak summer season if possible. So I would ask that whoever could get here the soonest would be able to sign.
Okay.
I'll sign it this afternoon.
All right. So I'll make a motion to authorize Alan Thompson to sign the Ferguson Waterworks contract.
I'll second it.
Notice of
What's that
award.
again? Notice of award.
Thank you.
I made the motion. Alan second. Take a roll call vote. Alan?
Aye.
And it's I for myself. Thank you, Alan.
All right, no problem. Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Always.
All right. Next, superintendent's report.
Did we get there already? All right. So
Unless you want to go over something else, Dan.
No, that's all right. It's all right. I wanted to let the board know formally, as well as the public at large, that the annual statistical report for the department, as well as the consumer confidence report, have been completed. I did distribute the both of those documents to the board through email. But if I can just share, if you bear with me, I'd like to just share the consumer confidence report, just so anyone following along can take a look. All right.
Could I ask a question before you take off on it?
Always.
So the different minerals and various things in the water, and for lead. And the last time we had a test done was on 8/21/18. What is the timeline? How often do you have to do that test?
Yeah, so the Harwich Water Department is actually on reduced monitoring for lead and copper due to the low levels that we detect in our system. So we are required to sample for lead and copper once every 3 years. So we will be sampling lead and copper again in 2021. And that is distributed or governed by DEP and provided to the municipalities on their sampling schedule.
Oh, yeah, all right, never mind.
You there?
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess, Alan, that if that answers your question, next year's report will have new lead and copper information from 2021.
So it's a 3-year period then?
Correct. Yep. 3-year cycle. So moving forward, and just for the public at large following along, the Consumer Confidence Report is available on the town's website. It is available for pickup in hard copy at the Water Department office. It has also been distributed to the Health Department and in various other public locations throughout town. And this report contains all detections for contaminants that were tested for in the previous calendar year, or if a contaminant was not tested for in the previous calendar year, like lead and copper, we put on the most recent detection or sampling event. So for the 2020 Consumer Confidence Report, we are happy to report that we had no violations in any water quality parameters. Additionally, in here is, I don't want to jump to the back, but one of the major things that we get calls on nowadays is with regard to per and polyfluorinated compounds, or PFAS. So I want to spend a little bit of time, if I can, and just touch upon how those are represented in this year's Consumer Confidence Report. So in October of 2020, PFAS became formally regulated by the state of Massachusetts with a maximum contaminant level of 20 parts per million. So depending on when water systems took their PFAS samples, dictated how the results were reported within the Consumer Confidence Report. So for water systems that collected PFAS samples prior to the enactment of the regulations in October are to report their PFAS in the unregulated contaminant section of the Consumer Confidence Report. For water systems that tested after October 1st, when the regulation was created, would be reporting the PFAS 6, which are the first 6 PFAS compounds in the report. They would be listed in the regulated contaminants. So in Harwich's CCR, you'll find them in the unregulated contaminant chart, and that's because the samples were taken before the regulation was formally adopted. That said, we have done testing as starting in 2015. At the time we did our first round of sampling, that included the 6 PFAS compounds, again, the first 6 within the table here. And those compounds were tested at a minimum detection limit. If I'm not mistaken, it was 10 parts per trillion. Now, since 2015, the analytical method has improved and they can detect PFAS at much lower levels. So once we were made aware that we could test at lower detection levels, we resampled all of the same sites again for testing for PFAS at a minimum detection level of 2 parts per trillion, and also included the additional 6 PFAS compounds that are on the second part of the PFAS table. The way that the chart laid out the 12 PFAS compounds, the first 6 are the regulated 6, and they're located on page 6. And the remaining samples that we've tested for that are still currently unregulated are located on page 7. I'm happy to say that we didn't have to put these results in our report this year because we had no detections of PFAS in any of the samples that we took. However, given the public light that is on PFAS and contaminants of emerging concern, figured it would be appropriate to let everyone in Harwich know that yes, we have sampled, and no, we haven't detected it.
That's great news, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll be beginning this month testing for the PFAS 6 contaminants on a quarterly basis.
That's great. Perfect. Any questions, Alan?
No. Any concerns, Dan?
Concerns? No, two things that I want to look into. One contaminant that popped up for the first time this year was xylenes. It's a VOC compound. It was detected only in one well, and the detection was 0.00058 parts per million. And the maximum contaminant level for that is 10 parts per million. So you can see by the amount detected, it's I don't even know if we could call it trace, but a very, very small amount. The possible sources are discharges from petroleum factories or chemical factories. Being that we don't have petroleum or chemical factories in that area of town, it's going to warrant some continued tracking and monitoring to see if it sticks around or if it was where it goes. The other one that I would like to look into a little bit more is the sodium. Sodium is an unregulated contaminant, but there is a recommended goal of 20 parts per million, and highest detection we had this year was 22. So we are just above our target goal of 20. And that's not a recent spike. I did look back in prior years, and we did have upper teens in previous sampling. So this isn't a sudden detection, but it is one that has increased. Two other components I think are worth mentioning. If I can jump back up to the top here. Nitrates and nitrites. Those are often talked about in reference to the sewer system, why we're doing sewer, just so that the information is out there. The highest result, so nitrates and nitrites are 2 separate contaminants that we monitor for, and they're both indicators of nitrogen levels. So the nitrate has a maximum contaminant level of 10 parts per million, and our highest detection was 2.8. For nitrites, the maximum contaminant level is 1 part per million, and our highest was 0.3. So we're about the same percentage of MCL on both of those. Additionally, just below nitrites, you'll see the perchlorate contaminant. Again, this was another one that we did not have to report because we did not detect it, but because of conversations surrounding fireworks, the Cranberry Festival in recent years, I wanted to also make sure that that was included in the report so that people could see that we're continually monitoring and have had no detections to date.
That's all good news, Dan. Thank you.
It takes everyone to do it. You know, with the sandy soils on the Cape and here in Harwich, there's not a lot of protection for the aquifer. So
Right.
it really takes an engaged, and you know, I meant to put this on as the superintendent's report, but it just popped in my head now. I would also like to share a great thing that I found out a week or two ago. So you may recall last year we had a group of residents partner with Eversource to do the Sustainable Food Forest Initiative plantings in the right-of-way abutting the T3 wells 8 and 9 over off of Bay Road. So I received Eversource's right-of-way vegetative management plan this year, identifying that they were intending on performing vegetative management through that easement. After following up with Eversource directly, they indicated that they would not be spraying herbicide or doing vegetative management within the area that was planted. So this was really what we were hoping for and talked about with Eversource when this project was first brought up, was that, you know, the area that they did the plantings with is just outside of the 400-foot Zone 1 buffer of our well, which is an area that they are not allowed to spray herbicide in. But where the plantings are located are outside that 400-foot buffer. So where they've agreed not to do the herbicide spraying, that's going to push that boundary further away from our source water, which I think is a huge, huge win for the department. You know, and I really have to thank, you know, the folks in East Harwich that really brought this up, because I think it's a great thing for the town, and I think that it's you know, something we should consider doing more work in, because if we can keep herbicide and these things away from the wells, it's only going to better serve us in the future.
That's great news. Yeah, well done.
I am planning on doing a PR, you know, a Facebook post to share that information, because I think it's worth sharing with everybody. I haven't had the chance to sit down and do it yet.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
All right. Alan, do you have anything for the commissioner's report?
No, I don't, but I got a question.
Okay.
On the sodium, Dan, how about road salt? How does that play into the, I mean, because I don't think they're putting any sand down now. I think it's all salt.
Yeah, I don't know if they're using sodium chloride or calcium chloride. I'll follow up with Link, yeah, and see what they're using, and you know, make sure that they're not running their salters near the well sites.
Yeah, because out by the truckload, you know. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. The only thing I have is our next meeting date.
Thanks.
What's your schedule?
So we're looking at 2 weeks out, right?
So 2 weeks out is actually school vacation week, if I'm not mistaken, the 19th through the 22nd.
Okay.
So I was going to try to take that week off, spend time with the little ones.
All right. Do you want to do the 16th, or can we wait a week until a week after? Do you have anything pressing?
No, I think the following week would be fine. I guess one question back to the commission. Alan was nominated to come and sign the recommendation to award.
Yes.
The formal signing of the contract, I guess at that point, okay, no, I'm good. That can be done in a signature folder. The vote to award has already been done, so we're good. I'm good. We can wait till after.
It doesn't matter to me. Do you want to do it the week before school vacation or the week after?
Week after.
All right. So what are we looking at? What day works?
Thursday? We're gonna do
I have an
the
appointment at noon on Thursday.
I'm already booked up.
How about Wednesday?
Yeah.
Wednesday?
Yeah,
That'll work?
Works for
that'll
me.
work.
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock.
All right.
1 o'clock. All right, perfect.
Okay.
And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll take a vote by roll call. Alan?
Aye.
And tonight for myself. Thank you all for a lot of good work here, really, between the rules and regs, the sewer, the irrigation. Yeah, I mean, even in our budget, coming that close to our budget, I mean, it just shows the dedication and the hard work that you all put into it. So again, it's very much appreciated, and we're lucky to have the people we have in the positions we have them in. So thank you very much. And,
Thank you.
have a good day. Yeah, we are very lucky. All right, thank you guys.
Have a good one.